Hello and welcome to the webinar tonight. I'm super excited. Today we're going to cover the Law of Attraction Masters webinar, and it's really all about how to use the Law of Attraction to really attract real things. And the reason why I say really attract real things is that a lot of the movies out there talk about this great, grand, amazing thing that you can get anything in life that you dream of, and then people go and apply it, and then they come back and they're like, oh yeah, well, I thought positive and things got a little better. I felt better and I seemed to notice more good things. It's like that's not really what the law of attraction has the power to do, and it's not what people talk about. It's not what people get so excited about. But unfortunately, a lot of people are just really excited about the concept of it and have never seen it really attract real things. They just say, oh well, it kind of I focused my thoughts and I felt better. So and I'm just here to say that's not enough, because that's not what the power of the law of attraction is. Tonight we're going to talk about how to master the law of attraction so that you can really do the things that they talk about in the books and in the movies that you read, because it is a very powerful tool. So we're going to teach you tonight all about how to actually use that tool. So we're going to start with kind of a basic introduction, because there are actually some people out there who have not heard of the law of attraction and don't really know what it is. There may be some people on this call who don't know what it is, and some people who may have showed up thinking that this was about how to attract a person or something like that. How to get a boyfriend or girlfriend or a husband or wife or something. That's not what this is about. And so just in case there's some people who don't exactly know what it is, we're just going to give a real brief introduction. The concept of the law of attraction is thoughts become things. Now, Bob Proctor is quoted as saying that, but there's really a lot of people who have said that exact same thing, and that's the overall basic concept of the law of attraction. Thoughts become things. Now, we have a couple other people. Napoleon Hill said what the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And then we've got King Solomon from the Old Testament, who said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Classic old proverb. And then we've got this next quote, which really goes a little bit deeper into what the law of attraction really is, and what we're going to talk about tonight, because the law of attraction is more just, hey, if you think good things, then you'll feel better and you'll probably be a better person. It goes beyond that, and Wallace Waddell says, man can form things in his thoughts, and then, by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created. There's a little bit weird wording. I want you to take a moment to really look at that and really to think about what I just said. Man can form in his thought, he can form things in his thought. You can think about something, form it in your mind, and then continue to focus on it. And by focusing on it, you press it upon this formless stuff. Some people call spirit. Some people call just the formless stuff. A couple different names people call it. But he says if you think about it, it's literally your thoughts will go and form this formless stuff and actually create something and cause something to come into existence that didn't exist before. Or at least didn't exist in that capacity. Didn't exist in your possession, and you can literally think hard enough and make it come into your possession. It's a really big concept, and it's a pretty deep concept, and that's why we're covering it tonight. So on tonight's webinar, I'm going to review what we're going to cover. I want to tell you a kind of a funny story real quick. At least I think it's kind of funny. I did a teleseminar one time, and I got on, and I said, look, I know that I promised we were going to talk about this, and this, but I just felt really strongly, I had an experience yesterday, and I just feel like sharing this instead. And I had this really good thing that I wanted to share with people. And everyone got off the line. I told them, look, we're not going to cover what I promised, but we're going to cover some good stuff, really good stuff. And it's just like, everyone dropped off the line, and there was no one on the line anymore. And it was because everyone everyone came on for a very specific reason, and they didn't want to hear that, hey, I had changed the reason, what they were here for. So here's what we're going to cover, and we're going to cover exactly this: how to use the law, or how the law of attraction actually works. The simple 5-minute solution to supercharge your ability to attract. The most important tool for using the law of attraction, the number one biggest mistake people make when they try to use the law of attraction, which actually causes them to repel everything they're trying to attract. And on this webinar, I'm going to tell you about a free 6-month course with daily exercises to help you master your mind and master the law of attraction. It's a really, really cool free source. I'm going to share all those things with you on the webinar tonight. So that's what you have to look forward to, and that's what you have to be excited about. Now I want to cover this concept of, some people say the law of attraction doesn't work. And I want to give an analogy to go along with this. So go ahead and just watch the screen right now really carefully, because something incredible is about to happen. You see how cool that was? I'm going to do it one more time because it's just so amazing. Look at that. The jet flies in from the side. Now that is an F-16 jet. And I want you to imagine that I'm sitting here and I look at my watch and I realize, oh my gosh, I've got a meeting that I've got to be to in Hong Kong, and it starts in 4 hours. How in the world am I ever going to get to Hong Kong in 4 hours? And then I remember somebody's told me about this F-16 jet, and they say it is really powerful. It is so powerful. In fact, it is so powerful that it could get me to Hong Kong on time. Even though I've only got 4 hours to get there, I could drive to where the plane is, and I could get there and arrive on time. So I'm thinking, this is my only option. I've got to be to that meeting on time. So you know what I do? I jump in my car, I drive down to the closest Air Force base, and I go and jump in an F-16. Now let's just imagine that there's no security or anything, just for the sake of this story, because obviously I'd probably get shot or something if I tried to go jump in an F-16. So let's imagine that that's not an issue. I go and I jump into the F-16, and this is what it looks like inside. And I go, holy crap, this thing looks complicated. I played a flying game on Nintendo once, so I thought I knew how to fly, and now here I am sitting there. Holy smokes, this thing looks complicated. But I remember how to use the joystick. So I grab the joystick and go, forward means go. And so I push it forward, and wouldn't you believe it, nothing even happens. And so I sit there and I start, I wiggle it around. I say, keep going. And instead of just giving up right away, I say, I'm going to stick with this. I got to get to that meeting, so I'm going to figure out how to use this machine. So I sit there and work both the pedals, and I push every single switch, or I push every button and flip every switch, and I do everything that I possibly can. I'm sitting there for 3 hours, and wouldn't you believe it, in 3 whole hours, I can't even get the machine to budge. And I'm just sitting, and I go, you know what, this is dumb. And I jump out of that cockpit, and I leave, and for the rest of my life, I just curse those F-16s, and I say, those things are worthless. Whenever somebody says, those are fast, those are powerful, I said, no, they're not. I know from personal experience. I actually jumped in one, and I tried for a long time. Those things are actually worthless. They don't even work. They're a giant hunk of metal. Now, this is kind of a ridiculous, right? I mean, it sounds like, geez, anybody's smart enough to know that you're not going to figure that out right away. But this is the exact approach that most people take to the law of attraction. They hear about it, they hear it's really powerful, maybe they watch one movie, they watch the movie The Secret, and they think, oh my gosh, this is awesome. So they go and they write down 10 things. They write, I make $100,000 a month. I live in a mansion. I drive my dream car. I live in total abundance all the time. They write out these like 10 sentences, and they start to say those every day. Well, I'm going to show you a little bit how complex the mind is. And I say just a little bit because you're just scratching the surface. I studied psychology at college, and I can tell you, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the mind, and I believe that psychologists really only scratch the surface, just from what I personally have experienced. And so the mind can be very, very, very complicated. To give you an idea, we talk about all these switches, knobs, dials inside this F-16. The mind, average human, thinks 60,000 thoughts per day. I mean, that's a lot of stuff going on inside your head every single day. But then the question comes, where do those thoughts come from? What's generating those thoughts? What are all those thoughts based on? And there's a couple really powerful things that we can learn about the thoughts. As you dig into psychology, and you realize that every thought that you have, everything you see, let's say you see the color blue. There's so many things in your mind that you associate that to every other thing. It's like your mind is like this giant spider web, and everything's associated to other things. And understanding those associations, you can actually understand pretty much all human interaction and all human actions if you really understood somebody's associations. But where did those associations come from? They come from beliefs based on experiences. See, every experience you have creates some kind of a belief. Every experience you have creates a belief, and you're building your idea of life and what's true and what's not true based on the experiences that you have. And because every single person has different experiences, every single person has different beliefs, and then the beliefs that you have create the thoughts that you experience every single day, then they create, your beliefs create the way that you react to every situation and what things you want and the way that you act in every situation. Man, that's complicated. There is so much stuff. And then you add in emotions and all those complications and relationships and everything else. The mind is truly much more complicated than an F-16 jet, and it is truly much, much, much more powerful than an F-16 jet. I mean, you can see proof of the fact that the mind created an F-16 jet. The mind is much more powerful. And people watch one movie, they sit down and they do 10 affirmations, and they expect to have all of a sudden mastered their mind. Now I'm going to show you a little bit. Let's just look at some of the how complicated this can be to really use your mind. 60,000 thoughts a day that most people have. Most people have no idea how to really control those. They just happen automatically. Let's just imagine that half those thoughts are positive. Things like, oh, life is awesome. I love my life. I love my family. Good things always happen to me. I love myself. I have lots of money. Money always flows to me. Money comes easy. Those kinds of things. Half your thoughts. The other half are, geez, I'm stressed about money. Man, it's hard. Man, the economy is crashing. Geez, the government is going to make it so that I can't afford anything. My boss is doing this or that. I'm so upset with my spouse right now. Oh, that one person who said that to me, man, I wish I would have said this to them, and that would have really showed them. All those negative thoughts that we have. Stress and worry. Oh, I don't know. How am I going to make the bills? What's going to happen? How am I going to pay for that or this or what? We're so worried and so stressed about so many things. So let's just be generous and say half are positive, half are negative. That means you have 30,000 positive thoughts, 30,000 negative thoughts. Now, if it's true that your thoughts create your world around you, guess what you're creating? Pretty much nothing. It's like your thoughts are just canceling each other out. And so all you're creating is just neutral. And that's why most people have no control whatsoever over their life. So you have 30,000 positive thoughts, 30,000 negative thoughts, and you think that you can write down 10 affirmations, and then all of a sudden, everything in your life is going to change. All that does is make it so you think 30,010 positive thoughts and 30,000 negative thoughts. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. But let's take it even one step further and look at the actual reality and the truth of the situation is that most of the thoughts that people think are the same thoughts over and over. Those thoughts that just run in the back of their mind, they're the same thoughts over and over every day. They're called negative thought, or they're called automatic thoughts, and most of them are negative. It's kind of weird how our minds work. Our minds don't just dwell and automatically repeat the positive things. it's more our mind's natural tendency to repeat the negative things. And that's okay, because we are not our mind. That's not who we are. Our mind is this totally separate thing. I mean, if our mind was destroyed, we would still continue to exist, because we're eternal spiritual beings. So it's not naturally how we are, it's just naturally how the mind is. That the mind will naturally dwell on the negative things and will repeat the negative things over and over and over again. Scientific studies have actually showed that 80% of our thoughts are automatic, repeated, negative thoughts. And that is really scary. When you think about that 60,000, I mean, 80% of those are negative. Now look at the fact that people try to just add 10 positive thoughts a day and think it's going to change everything. It's just never going to happen. And you look at the fact that we have that much negative thinking, and you look at society, and it's a perfect reflection. You look at the reality that we're creating as a society and the world that we live in. It's just a pretty clear indication, the fact that people are full of negative thoughts, and that they're creating their world according to their thoughts. So the law of attraction is true. It's real. It really works. And there's so many complicated things going on in the brain, and people don't take the time to really study it and understand it. Just like if I wanted to learn how to be an expert pilot at this, it would take months, if not years, worth of training to really master this machine. Same thing with your mind. That's why we're talking tonight about how to be a law of attraction master. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you my story and just my experiences, because you may be wondering, like, okay, sounds cool. You know, you're telling me this stuff works, but who are you to tell me? So I just want to kind of tell you my story and how it all started with me. It started for a lot of people the same way it started for a lot of people, with a movie called The Secret. And I thought, oh, this movie, this looks so cool. I heard a lot of people tell me that it was really good. I actually didn't know anything about it. They just said, this is so good. So I went kind of excited, and I watched the movie, and I hated it. I thought it was the dumbest thing ever made. I made fun of it the whole time, and I said, that's so stupid. I can't believe people watch that. So later on, I read a book, and it was a book about, success and business, and the whole thing was about the law of attraction. And I was kind of ticked. I was like, come on, you're telling me there's other people who believe in this stupid crap? I thought it was just the people who made The Secret. All of a sudden I'm finding out that other people believe in it. And then I went and I interviewed some financially successful people, and they told me to study the law of attraction. Quick success tip here, by the way. Simple success tip, and that is that success leaves clues. In other words, success isn't luck. It's not some mystical, magical thing. Success in any area of life it comes from following correct principles. So if you want a certain result in your life, any kind of result, relationships, money, body, whatever, if you want a certain result, go to somebody who's getting that result, find out what they're doing, and copy them. And so that's what I was doing at the time, was I was looking for financially successful people, because that's what I wanted, and I said, tell me what you know. And they told me to go study the law of attraction. And again, I was upset. I was like, oh, come on, not again. You got to be kidding me. But so many people kept talking about it that I decided, you know what? Maybe I'm going to try it out. Maybe I'll try it out. So there was this thing called business development. Now, there was this company that it was actually a pretty new company, getting a pretty big size company right now. But at the time, it was pretty small, and they taught people about how to invest in real estate and actually helped them go get their first house. I thought it was a really cool system. I wanted to do it. I didn't have any money or credit because I was really young at the time. But I said, how can I get involved in this company? And they said, well, if you bring us a client, we'll pay you some money. I'm like, hey, cool. They had this really small program, not very developed, only about 30 people that they had taught this, or that were in this, they had training once a week, and they had 30 people who'd show up and want to learn about how to do business development for this company, which was basically, a way of referring other people and getting paid to do that. And so I took on this challenge, and I went and I read another book, and there was another book about the law of attraction. And it told me that I need to set a very clear goal, and so I set a really clear goal of what I wanted to accomplish with the business development, basically how many clients I wanted to bring to that business. Then, because the book told me to, I meditated and then visualized every day, and everything magically came together and worked out for my benefit. And now we're going to talk about the importance of meditation and visualization, and a little bit how to do that later on in the webinar. But right now, just for the sake of the story, we're going to keep going on that. I want to tell you about this part, about everything magically coming together. Later on, I was teaching somebody else how to do the business development because I had been really successful at it. I was teaching somebody else. I said, it's really simple. And I told them, look, if you just bring a couple people, then they're all going to sign up. It's basically what I told them. And they're like, I've tried that. No one signed up. It actually turned out that that person had brought more people to the company to learn about it and to see they did like a weekly seminar and a presentation. He had brought more people than I ever had. And I had sold way more. He had sold 0, and I had sold a whole ton of these memberships. And when I say I sold them, I didn't really sell them. They talked to the people in the company, and the people sold them. But basically, for me, it was as simple as I brought some people. They listened, said, this is awesome, and then they signed up. This guy was doing the same thing, and he even was doing a better job at that, but he had nobody sign up, and I had a whole ton of people sign up. And I was making some great money at it, and he was making nothing. And so that's what I mean when everything magically came together and worked out for my benefit. Here's the cool thing is I crushed the goal against all odds. By against all odds, here's what I mean. I was the youngest of all those people doing the business development. I was the newest of all of them. All of them had been doing the business development longer. And I was the only one who had never even done real estate. I was telling people to come and check out this real estate thing, and I had never done real estate. And I was young and I didn't have a lot of contacts. It's not like I knew a ton of people. In fact, there was only one person out of all the people that I ever brought in that was someone that I knew from before. All the rest were just like random encounters, just like happened to be, just kind of fell into my lap. And all of them were the absolute like perfect clients. And again, I talked to other people who met people in the exact same way and got clients from the exact same source, and none of them, it didn't work for them. But it worked awesome for me. But of course I said, hey, it's just a coincidence. You'll kind of realize as I go through my story, I'm a little bit of a skeptic. And I was anyways. I'm not with this stuff anymore, but I'm not ashamed at all of that because that was just in my nature. And see, I think what a lot of people do is they just believe the law of attraction. They watch The Secret and say, this is so cool, and they just believe it, and they never take the time to understand it because they just believe it, but because they don't understand it, it never works for them. Okay, so because I was a skeptic, I studied, and here's why I'm not mad about the fact that I was skeptical or don't judge myself is because right now you get to benefit from my skepticism because since I was skeptical, I spent years, I'm teaching you stuff that I learned over a 5-year time period of intense study, and what drove me was my skepticism. So in this experience, I said, it's just a coincidence. So I said, let me try it again. I wrote down some huge goal. Hey, I make $20,000 a month passive income. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, never really looked at it. 6 months later, I looked at it, I'm like, this didn't work. I knew this stuff was just made up. So, here's what happened next was I went and I read another book because I believe very strongly in education. I'm a college dropout, by the way. I decided not to finish college. I got really close to completing my major, had to do a couple research projects, and I just dropped out because I'm like, this is such... I don't know. The whole system I'm not agreeing with, and that's a different story for a different time. But a lot of people say to me, you don't believe in education. And it just makes me laugh because the way most people, this is part of the system I can't stand, is people go to college, they go to school and then go to college. As soon as they graduate, they never educate themselves. And they're like, oh, well, I value education. I have a college degree. And I'm like, guess what? I dropped out of college, but I educate myself continuously. I'm always reading, always listening to audio, and always learning from people who have the results that I want. So anyways, I read another book that talked a lot about the law of attraction. And this book said, look, here's how you see if it works. attract something really, really simple, but be extremely specific. See, before it was like, okay, I set a goal. Sure, I meditated on it every day, visualized it every day, but maybe I just am really good, maybe I was just super good at talking to people. I don't know. Maybe I just got really lucky. I don't know. I wasn't convinced that it was the law of attraction of what made that work. So in this book, it says, here's how you figure out if it really works or not. Be really, really, really specific. And so it said, think of something that you want. And it said something small and simple. So my first thought was an apple. And so in my mind, I said I want an apple, but I wanted it to be really specific. In fact, I wanted the way that I received it to be specific. Because I could say, I want an apple, walk down to the grocery store, pick up an apple, and I'm like, okay, big deal. Doesn't mean this thing works. Just means I walked down and bought an apple. So one rule was that it had to come to me. I couldn't go out and buy an apple at the store. Somebody had to walk up and hand me an apple for apparently no reason. That was what I specified in my mind. And then I said, well, still, apples are kind of common, so I want it to be a specific apple. And I like red apples, but not like the dark red ones. I like the kind of the red ones that have a little bit of yellow. So I imagined that, and I said, you know what, I want it to have a little yellow shine in the top right-hand corner of the apple when I'm looking at it, and I want it to have a stem, because some have like no stem at all. I want it to have a stem, but I want it to be a medium length stem, and I want it to curve to the left. Now some people are saying, oh my gosh, you're picky. No, I'm not picky. I was specific because I was skeptical. And I said, if this is going to work, it has to be absolutely perfect and fit every one of those details. Now I still put in the work and the effort. I didn't just like do this once. Somebody asked me, they said, I've heard your apple story and I tried it and it didn't work. And I'm like, well, that's because I put a lot of effort into it. Every single day, I followed all the tools that I knew for the law of attraction. I meditated, I visualized, I did all that. But here's the end of the story. Here's a picture of, closest picture I could find anyways on Google of what I wanted the apple to look like. A bit smaller of a yellow shine because that kind of takes up the whole right side. Just wanted it to be in the corner there. But it wanted to look about like that, and it happened. Here's the cool thing. I used all the new tools and I used all the old tools. 3 weeks of meditating on it every single day and visualizing it every day, getting emotionally involved in it, which was kind of hard to do. How do you get emotionally involved in someone handing you the apple? But I just imagined, hey, if they handed it to me, that means it works. So that kind of got me excited. And it worked. Someone walked up to me, my wife, one day. We were not at home. She was at work. I was just like visiting, and I was sitting on the couch waiting for her to get off. She walked up to me and she says, I've got something for you. She had something behind her back, acted like she had the greatest surprise in the world. And she pulled it out and she handed it. And it was, as she handed it to me, it was exactly like I had imagined and described. And I hadn't told my wife, by the way. I mean, that would be kind of a dumb story if I had told my wife and then she goes and finds it and brings it to me. No, I hadn't told her. I hadn't told anybody. And all of a sudden my wife comes and brings it to me. And I thought, wow, that's incredible. That means it works. That means this weird thing they call the law of attraction really works. Because it happened in the exact way I imagined. I took a picture of it on my phone so I could have it forever, and then I lost my phone in Lake Powell. It happens. So I don't have the picture, but that's about what it looked like. But then I asked the question, okay, so what? Instead of being all excited and like, yeah, this works, this is incredible, I was like, okay, big deal. It was an apple. It took me 3 freaking weeks of concentration and focus, and I got an apple. I mean, at that rate, I would die. And so my next step was to try it on something bigger, and I wanted to do some real money. And here's what happened is I read another book, because even after the apple happened, I just kind of put that, I really wasn't convinced that this thing is as big as everyone says it is, so I kind of didn't think about it, but I found this other book that I read, and it broke down the concept of the law of attraction into a really simple story, and then it gave some really specific tools of how to use it. So again, there's a pattern here. More tools. I kept learning more and more and more. Learn a little bit more every day, just like as if I was flying a jet each day, I would learn a little bit more about how to fly and then apply it. Okay, so I learned more tools. I applied them all. So here's what I do. I had heard people reference this idea of taking your bank account and writing a new number in there. So I took a screen clipping of my online banking, because I don't do that's all I do is online, and so I took that screen clipping and I whited out the number and I wrote a new number in there. And every day I would pull that up, and I made it look as good as I could. And every day I'd pull it up and I'd look at that and I'd stare at that and I would imagine what would it be like if I logged onto my computer. I made it look just like I was on the internet, looking at it live, and I just imagine every day what that would look like. And so this is an actual copy. This is the actual picture that I did. I whited out. That's the number that I wrote right there, and I just sat there and I focused on it, and I did it. And it was about a 3-week time period that I focused on it every day, and then I kind of forgot about it. I got busy with work and with life, and you know how things are. And something key happened there, though, was I went through coaching. Now, a lot of you, probably most of you, don't know what the word coaching means, and so I just want to tell you that this was actually the most important part to this process. Was I went through coaching. But because you don't know what coaching means, I'll just tell you that here's what I mean when I say coaching. And here was the part that was the important part, was clearing out negative signals. So I had all these beliefs about money was bad and all this stuff. So clearing those out, and then also a process of surrender. I'm not going to tell you what those mean right now. Later on in the webinar, we'll get to those. But I'll just tell you that it worked. And this was incredible. I mean, this blew my mind. This was a life-changing experience for me, the moment that it worked. So it was about 5 months after I had written that number. Like I said, I'd kind of forgotten about it. And I received some money. I had been wanting to do real estate, and I finally found someone to partner with, and I was going to be the one that buys the house. So we took all the money and we put it into my bank account, because the loan officer, the mortgage companies, they want to see it in your personal account. So I put it into my personal account, and when I put the money in there, all of a sudden something clicked, and I go, oh my gosh, this looks familiar. And I went back, and I looked at that number that I had written on the bank account, and then I looked at the number that was in my bank account, and it was less than $200 away from the exact number that I had written. And I got chills all over my body. I was like, oh my gosh, whoa. Because, that close, that big of a number, and that close, I just couldn't deny it. And especially when, I'd done it to 2 accounts. I showed you the one account. There was another account, and I just kind of used 2 accounts for different reasons, but I was using 2 different accounts. And on the other account, I wrote the number of 40,000. And I thought, even though it worked in this one, I guess it'll never work in the other one. And by the end of that same month, I had 50,000 in that account. And I still had the same amount in the first account. So altogether, I had well over $100,000 that came into my possession within a month. Now, guys, I was young at the time. I was 24 at the time. That was more money than I had ever made in my entire life combined. Within 1 month, came into my life. And that was really, really exciting and clearly life-changing. And I'll be totally honest, I was really scared. That was the next step for me, is I got really scared, because I had been taught my whole life and believed in this concept of letting God take control of your life, and kind of, as Carrie Underwood says it, let Jesus take the wheel kind of concept. And I remember when I was younger in life thinking about all the people, those celebrities, the Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and all these celebrities who they started, and they seemed like they're just so sweet and innocent, and then they went totally crazy. And I thought it was because of money. It was part of my story of that money is bad. And I thought to myself, well, I do know a couple of good rich people. Well, I guess there's just some people who can handle money and some people who can't. And I'm grateful. This is exactly what I thought. I thought to myself, I'm grateful that God that I've chosen a life where, I've let God be present in my life, because if I can't handle wealth, He won't let me have it. If I can, then He will. Well, all of a sudden, I realized that I had pictured in my mind a certain amount of money, and it came to me. And then I realized, wow, if I did that with $100,000 when I was just 24, and I really only focused on it for 3 weeks, and then it took like 5 months to show up. What if I actually focused on it? Now knowing how powerful it is, what if I really focused on it with full belief, and I did it for a whole year? I mean, who's to say? Why would I not be able to just make $1 million that next year? And that just really scared me. And I thought, geez, this feels like I'm in control. Feels like I'm the one in charge, when I thought God was supposed to be in charge. And I had to figure out what it really was. Because either this was the most incredible, life-changing thing that I had ever discovered, or I was headed in the wrong direction. Okay? And so I was like, I've got to figure this out. I did figure it out. And I got a really, really profound answer. And I'm not going to tell you the full details of that. Actually, later in the call, I'll tell you a little bit more. But for right now, what I will tell you is that what I received at that time was basically, yes, it's okay. That old quote that says, you are the master of your fate, you are the captain of your soul, is true. Now, God definitely has a place. And I believe that part of God's plan for us is to be able to stand on our own 2 feet a little bit. I believe, again, in the Bible, in Genesis, it says, give them dominion. I believe we have dominion over our own lives. So there is a way to still put God first and make sure that He's in charge and kind of has the direction for your life, while you at the same time still stand up and create. And for me, it looked like this. The next time I said I want to create, instead of just deciding for myself and making something up, I thought about it first, but then I took it to God and kind of let Him have the final say in the matter. And that's kind of how I found is the way to bridge that gap of letting Him still be in control, while I also am like being in charge and in control and living up to my potential. So this time I said, I want to be more specific, because I got all that money, but I didn't get to spend it on whatever I wanted. It was for a real estate investment partnership, so I had to go and invest it, which was cool because I got the investment, and that's been paying me back. But next time I was like, I want to have the money and I want to keep it. So I learned even more tools, and I applied them all. Again, there's a pattern here. And this is what I wrote down. This is an actual piece of paper. I wrote that down by hand. I create $800,000 for myself this year. And I was specific. I said it happens within this year. I put some kind of time frame on it. And I said for myself, because at the time I was teaching people how to invest in real estate. It would have been really easy for me to create $800,000 worth of actual real money for my clients. But I wanted to do it for myself. Not like being greedy, no one else gets it, but I'm just saying, I create it for myself. So I was really, really, really specific. And it worked. To make a long story short, basically, I received some stock in my company. I was able to take some of that investment money and purchase a portion of the company I was working for. I also, through some incentive programs they were offering, I earned some stock. And one day, about halfway through that year, so that was at the beginning of a year that I wrote that, about halfway through that year, the COO of the company came up and said, hey, some of this stock that you earned through incentive, you need to sign for this. He says, by the way, do you know how much this is going to be worth? And I said, no. And it was something I had done quite a while back. I just had never received it. And he said, this is actually more than we thought it was going to be when we first made it. But right now, the current path that the company's on, this is going to be worth about $250,000. And that... wow, that really, that was a lot. I was excited about it, but then here's what I did. It got me thinking, and I said, okay, how much have I invested? I took the price per share that I had bought at. I looked at the track that the company was currently on. They have a goal to buy all their investors out within 5 years from that time, and at that mark, where they buy out all the investors, I took what the price per share will be, like according to what they were on track for at the time, and still they're on track for that. And the number was like 500,000 something is what my stock was worth. And so I took that and I added that $250,000, and the number that I got was less than $1,000 away, or less than $1,500 away. It was about $1,000 off of that $800,000. This little note right here, this note is like sacred to me because it worked. Again, it was such a big number for me, such an overwhelmingly huge number, and so specific. And then the way that it showed up was so extremely close to the exact number that I couldn't deny it. And I just said, wow, this stuff is incredible. This stuff really works. However, there was a part of me that was kind of ticked because I was like, I don't get it right now. So I thought I had to be more specific. I thought my problem was that next time I'd have to write, I create and receive, and deposit in my bank account, and it's mine, so I get to spend it. I thought I had to be that specific. Now, there is some power to being really specific, but what I realized later was that it was actually exactly what I was really attracting. And what I mean by that is that what I was really attracting, see, there was still a part of me that didn't believe I was worth that much money. There was still a part of me that thought to have that much money is bad. There was still a part of me that just didn't believe that I was capable of doing that. And so I believed that, and at the same time was simultaneously sending out the signal that says, I get this money, and because I focused on it and my mind is really that powerful, I created that exact situation. Now, I can go on and on and on with these stories, but we're going to kind of, here's what I want to help you skip. I want to help you skip the years and years it took me to finally get to the point where I could actually attract real cash that was mine, that I got to take and spend and do something with. Because eventually I started doing that, but it took me quite a while to figure out how to actually get there. And so instead of telling you every single story, I want to get into the content to teach you how to do that, because I want you to actually do it, because stuff is powerful, it works, and I believe that there's a really incredible purpose to this that we're going to get into. So let's jump right into the content. This is the number one biggest mistake most people make when they try to use the law of attraction. And when they do this, it actually causes them to repel everything they're trying to attract. And it is this. I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody's making $3,000 a month. Let's just be really, simple and conservative. Somebody's making $3,000 a month, and they think, $3,000 a month is higher than the average American income right now. And you look at the world we live in and the technology. We've got warm houses, and we've got lights, and we've got smartphones, and we've got computers and laptops and the internet, and just nice cars, and just incredible luxuries that we take for granted all the time. So even though somebody who's making $3,000 a month, they may feel like, geez, I'm kind of poor. The truth is, compared to all the people who have ever lived, they're in the top 10% of all people who've ever existed on this earth because of all the great wealth and luxuries that they have. But here's what they do, is they say, I want to make $6,000 a month because I learned about this law of attraction thing. I want to think of something that I can actually believe in, and I want to start making $6,000 a month. So they start to visualize it, and they start to imagine what it would be like to have $6,000 a month. And they imagine all the things they would get, and they imagine, man, I could put my kids through lessons, or I could get a new iPad, or I could have a nicer car, I could maybe have a bigger house, I could buy clothes when I want to, I could go out to eat at Cafe Rio, whenever I want to. They're thinking those kinds of things. And then here's what happens is, because they're imagining and visualizing that, what they start to do is they start to look at their own life, and they start to feel like they're poor. And every time they can't buy that iPod, they're like, "Gah, or that iPad, they're like, geez, man, if I just had that $6,000 a month. And basically, they begin to focus on all the things that they don't have. And what you focus on expands. And so they're focusing on what they don't have. So what expands is more of what they don't have. They continue to get more of not enough. Because when they focus on more and more and more, like, it creates a feeling of, I don't have enough right now. And if you really want to know the law of attraction, it's much more than just your thoughts. It has a lot to do with your feelings and the emotions that you're experiencing and what you're sending out all the time. And so if you're in a feeling of, I don't have enough right now, that's what you're creating more of. So before I go on to this next one, actually I'm going to tell you one more thing on this page, is this feeling of the simplest way to solve this. The simplest way, and there's a couple ways, and this can get really deep. But like I said, this is a really complex. I can't teach you how to fly a jet in one night, but I just want to give you as much as I can. The simple way to fix this is to have a daily gratitude time, where you don't just like go through the motions and just be like, grateful for this, and this. That's all, Like, really, really focus on what you're truly grateful for, and allow yourself to really, really feel the gratitude and feel how grateful you truly are for all the things that you do have. Focus more on what you have and appreciating what you have, because what you focus on expands. And so focus on what you have and be grateful for what you have. Set a goal for what you want to attract, but be in the energy of appreciation for what you do have. Feel yourself as living an abundant and rich life, because like I said, even if you feel like you're kind of living, you feel like you're poor, chances are, if you compare yourself to most people who've ever lived, you're wealthy beyond what most people could comprehend. I mean, you think of 200 years ago, back to thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and every single person in between, you are living like a king in their eyes. So allow yourself to appreciate that every single day. So next is the simple 5-minute solution to supercharge your ability to attract, and that is to meditate. To clear your mind, because here's what you do in meditate. A lot of people don't really get meditation, but here's what you do to meditate, is you clear your mind, and then you learn how to control your mind by keeping it clear. These are the benefits of meditating. This is why it's going to supercharge your ability to attract. If your mind is super, super, super jumbled all the time, if you can even for 5 minutes get it clear and then focus on what you want, you're 100 times more powerful. And then you'll actually learn how to control your mind so that throughout the day you have more control, and you can tell your thoughts what to think and what to focus on. When all the negative stuff comes up, you have power over it, and tell it, no, we're not thinking those things, we're going to think better stuff. Also, so they say, I haven't personally done this, but it seems like this helps a lot, this meditation thing. They say if you meditate and clear your mind and get really still, then it actually takes you to a different brain wavelength that is just much, much more powerful. And this is just from some scientific tests that they've done. So meditation is the simple 5-minute solution. 5 minutes a day of meditation. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about how to meditate, because for me, the reason why I didn't meditate for years and years and years of hearing people talk about it is I just didn't know how. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now we're going to talk about how the law of attraction works. And we're going to talk about 2 aspects of this. We're going to talk about just how it works in practical terms, like how it is working in your life. And we're also going to dig a lot deeper into the real fundamental why this thing works, which is super powerful and something that a lot of people just never get. So I will say this, that number 1, you have to understand, if you want to know how it works, you have to understand that it always works all the time. Now, I had a real hard time with this because I thought, well, I wrote down 20,000 on a piece of paper and it never happened. How could you say it always works all the time? Well, I want to intensify. It always works all the time. More specifically, the law of attraction works according to every signal you send out. Or in other words, everything you say, think, feel, and believe deep down. Now, maybe it's cheesy to quote yourself in your own webinar. Okay, maybe you think I'm a dork for doing that. But guess what? I thought of it, that was my words. I was actually writing someone a letter, and that came out, and I was like, whoa, that's powerful. I'm going to write it down and post it on my wall. So instead of having just quotes from other people, which I do have, I also got a quote from myself on my own wall, because that's profound, because that's absolutely true. And this is why the law of attraction doesn't work for people, is because they say a lot of negative things. They say a lot of contradictory things. They think a lot of contradictory things. They feel a lot of conflicting emotions, a lot of negative emotions. They feel and they believe. They have a lot of beliefs deep down based on things they learned from their parents. Things they learned as a child. Things that their parents learned from their parents who probably went through the Great Depression. And so there's several generations worth of negative beliefs around money, that money's not enough, you can't have money, all this stuff. And it's because you've got these beliefs built in. The first time you had a negative experience with money, and then you developed a belief about that, and that's what you're creating according to. And this is what I was talking about in my coaching, going through and finding all those times. I remember, I had to go through and work through that time when the only time I ever saw my parents fight was when they were trying to balance the checkbook. And I thought, geez, man, money's a bad thing. Makes people fight who otherwise wouldn't fight. It caused a lot of stress and conflict in our home. Those times when I was told that we're just not good enough for things like that. Those times when I actually stole some money. When I was little, I'd steal coins from my sister to buy jelly beans. I had to go and start working on those, because every one of those experiences, there was a negative belief that I developed according to that. And those beliefs sending out all the time. All the time I was sending out signals. And your subconscious mind is super powerful. It's 1 million times more powerful than your conscious mind. So if in your subconscious mind you believe all these negative things about money, but in your conscious mind you say, I attract money, it's like you're never going to win against your subconscious mind. So that's what I'm saying. That's how it actually works. Is it always works all the time, but you've got to understand it works according to every signal you send out. But as you start clearing out those negative signals and start mastering your mind and changing and really significantly sending out those good signals in a powerful way, that's when you have the ability to attract. I'm going to tell you this last part here of why the law of attraction works. And this is the real deep part. And we could go on for days on just this subject. And I'm going to cover it brief. I'm going to skim, barely nick the surface of this whole conversation. And I'll just tell you this example. My parents, both my dad and my mom, have brown hair. And I have brown hair. Both my parents have blue eyes, and I have blue eyes. I'm about the same height as my dad. I look physically pretty similar. I have a pretty similar to build and look pretty similar to how my dad looked when he was my age. And you're thinking, what the heck, Tony? Did you just forget what we were talking about? Did you just start on a totally different conversation? Forget that you're doing a webinar right now? No, it's actually relevant. See, the reason why I have those things in common with my parents is genetics. You get this. You learned this in elementary school. But here's something that they didn't talk about was spiritual genetics, which simply is that we have a creator who created us. And we are not just any other species. There's something different about humans from any other species on the planet. And in Genesis, it says that we were created in the image and the likeness of God. And I believe that's true. We're very special creations of our Creator. I believe we're children of God. And some people, they have a hard time with that. So you can say it this way. You can say we're just creations of our Creator. But either way, we have inherited certain genetics. See, that stuff about me having brown hair and blue eyes and all that stuff, that's just my physical genetics. That's just my physical body. That's not who I am. Who I am is my spirit. And I inherited certain characteristics from my Creator, just like I did from my parents here on earth. I did from my Creator spiritually. And my Creator created everything. He created the whole world, created the whole universe. He's the most powerful creator out there. And I've inherited that from Him and have the capacity to create on a much smaller scale, but have the capacity to create like He does. And that is why it works. When you think of something and when you send out signals, everything around you responds to it. That's the reason why. Now, most people, again, are just creating chaos because they're sending out conflicting signals. But when you learn how to clear out your signals, and when you learn how to control your mind, and you learn how to send out a consistent signal, everything is going to change for you. Because that's your potential. You are a creator. So start using it. So this is the most important tool for using the law of attraction. The most important tool for using the law of attraction is daily conscious creation. See, you can work for a long time clearing out the negative beliefs and trying to just think more positive during the day and having better conversations. I mean, you can do all that. And there's a really deep stuff to that. And it will really empower your ability to attract and to create. But nothing can take the place of every single day sitting down and consciously saying, okay, my mind is powerful. And what I shape in my mind comes into existence. So I'm going to take some time every single day to learn how to control my mind, to learn how to reprogram my mind, and to specifically shape exactly what it is that I want, to visually create it, and then to focus on it so that it happens. Nothing can take the place of that. No matter how much you just try to feel better during the day or be more positive, and no matter how many negative signals you've cleared out, it won't work the way you want it to unless you do this every day. And if you do it every day, then it will work, even if you don't have any of the other tools. Now, having the other tools are very beneficial and can help you grow much faster, but the key is that you've got to do this every day. And you know how I know? Because there were times when I did it every day and times when I didn't do it every day. Times when I did it every day and things worked, and then I thought, hey, I've got this law of attraction thing figured out. So next thing I want to attract is, and I just make up something else and just, kind of try to think about it during the day, and it just doesn't work. So using it every single day. Now, this is the final part that I promised, the Master Key System, which is a 28-week home study course. That's 6.5 months. It includes weekly lessons and daily exercises. Those daily exercises can help you strengthen and use your capacity, or to strengthen your capacity to use your mind and to create. And it's about 10 minutes per day. Now, earlier you asked the question, how do I meditate? This will teach you not only how to meditate, but also teach you how to use the power of your mind, how to really visualize, how to close your eyes and create a mental picture that is vivid and colorful. The mind cannot tell the difference between something vividly imagined and something that actually happened. The key is that you have to learn how to vividly imagine, and most people close their eyes. They don't have any idea how to vividly create something. That's exactly what this Master Key System will do. It will teach you how to master your mind over a 6-month time period, just 10 minutes a day. And here's the cool thing, is that it's free. It's 100% free. You go to the internet. Now, this was just written long enough ago. It's like one of those classics. It's written long enough ago that the copyright has expired. So you go to the internet, and when the copyright expires, it's what's called public domain. You go to the internet and you type in the Master Key System PDF, and you get this for free. Now, here's a couple problems with the Master Key System. Is that as incredible as it is, and powerful as it is, and great as it is, there's such little follow-through. In fact, I've never seen anybody follow through and actually complete the program. There's also no support. Because of that, nobody follows through because there's no support. It's just a free program. You download it, you've got it on your internet, and then what? Like, there's no one to keep you on track, no one to support you and help you. There's no accountability, no one checking in. Hey, did you do it? And so nobody sticks with it, and no one sticks through. So that's why I came up with this dream of creating a master's course, like a course for people to come in and use the law of attraction and master the law of attraction. It's a 6-month group coaching program. Now, it's going to be based around doing the Master Key System. Each week, the new lesson will be the lesson from the Master Key System. And then you're going to do it every single day. And then we're going to have weekly group coaching calls. On those group coaching calls, there's going to be an additional lesson. In addition to what you're learning from the Master Key System, there'll be an additional lesson about how to apply the law of attraction practically right now, and some of the stuff that I've learned through 5 years of studying it. There's also going to be accountability. This is so key, you guys. Statistics show that around 80% of people who buy a gym pass never even show up one time. However, 90% of people who hire a coach do show up. It's actually higher. It's like 94 or something. I don't remember the exact number, so I just say 90. 90% or higher people who hire a weight loss coach do show up. You know what that means? That means 80% don't show up when they just buy a membership, as opposed to only 10%. So it increases your chances. Just hiring a coach increases your chances of success exponentially because you just are likely to show up. And even though I believe in one-on-one coaching and believe that in certain ways and certain things it can offer you, there's nothing that can compare to it, in getting you to take action and follow through on something, studies have shown that group coaching is actually more powerful than one-on-one coaching. So there's going to be accountability in the weekly calls. There's also going to be a question and answer so that you've got questions right then, and as they come up, you'll be able to ask your questions and answer them. Also, there's going to be coaching, live coaching on the call, so that as you're there and you're talking to somebody, as you're stuck with, trust me, as you try to grow and progress, you're going to hit walls and you're going to hit blocks. And I'll be there to coach you through those. And it can be extremely valuable to be on a live group setting like that, because as you're getting coached, it's valuable to have other people there. And it's also valuable for you to hear that other people get coached through their stuff. And it'll help you work through your stuff so much faster. So for one-on-one coaching, for just a 3-month package, I've charged as much as $5,000 for a 3-month one-on-one coaching package. Now, this is group coaching, but it's 6 months. And for what we're trying to accomplish, group coaching is actually more powerful. I would say that this is at least a $5,000 value for this group coaching program. But there's a couple things in addition, because here's what I want for you, is I want you to master this law of attraction. I want you to know what it really means to be a creator, because I believe that that's what you were created for. And that's what this course is all about, mastering the law of attraction so that you can be that powerful creator that you were meant to be. So here's what I've created is, also you get the Master Key System on audio, all 28 parts. You can listen to it on the go. This for me is extremely valuable because I know you're busy, like everybody is. We live in a very, very busy world. But if you can learn how to listen to audio, if you're new to this, it may take a little bit, but trust me, just keep practicing. You'll get really good at this. You can learn while you're doing other things like driving, like cleaning and vacuuming, like mowing the lawn, like going for a run, whatever else. I mean, just simple tasks that don't require a lot of brain power. You can train yourself to listen and pay attention to audio while you're doing that at the same time, and you can learn 10 times faster than anybody else because you can fit that in to your time. I go through hundreds of books by listening to them and just fitting them in. I never sit down and just say, it's my time to listen to a book. I never do that. I always listen to a book while I'm doing some other activity, and I've gone through hundreds of books doing that. What this will also do is allow you to listen to each lesson. Each lesson is not very long. The Master Key System lessons are only about 10 to 15 minutes. But you can read them once and listen to them 2 times, and it's proven that if you listen to something 3 times, then it will sink in so deep that you'll remember it. You know what this is like. You've been to school, you go and you memorize something, you read the chapter, you memorize it, you take the test, and then boom, it's gone. And you never remember it again. Consuming content 3 times in a short period of time changes that. So in each week, you could read and listen twice to the content, and that's what's going to keep it stick. It'll make it stick so that you actually remember it and apply it. And this is a $50 value. I just did a Google search, and I looked at the very first one that came up on Amazon.com. If you went and you bought this, 9 CDs, all 28 parts, $50 online. So that's where I got that value from. Also, we're going to record all of the group calls, which this is extremely valuable to be able to listen back to the live Q&A, and also to listen back to other people and even yourself, especially yourself, getting coached on the group calls. Is a $200 value to get the recording of that, because that would be more than 9 CDs. I mean, that'd be like 28 CDs, because each call is about an hour long. So here's a couple other bonuses. This is the Conquer Your Thoughts, Conquer Your Life CD set. It's a 5 CD set. I created it. It's all about how the law of attraction works. It goes everything from step by step, from the logical to the scientific to the spiritual. And it goes a lot deeper than we did today. One of the great things about this is as you start to learn more about the law of attraction and start to use it, you're going to want to share it with people. And you go out and you try to explain it to them, and it's this super complicated concept, and they don't get it because you even though you studied it for hours and hours, you try to explain the whole thing in 5 minutes, and it doesn't make any sense. So that's one of the bonuses of this. Is this great to introduce other people, and if you get this, then you actually have my permission to share that CD set around and to give it to a couple of your friends, just because I think people need to hear this. That is normally for $50, that 5 CD set. Also, there's the Money Mindset Mastery Program. This is an incredible program and really, really key, because a lot of people, when they learn about the law of attraction, they want to know how to make money using the law of attraction. And there's just some different things. There's some stuff that you need to understand about your mind and about the way that you're currently thinking about money, because there's 6 modules. Module 1 is all about how the world thinks about money. The world actually has a specific mindset about money and about rich people that's very negative, that you're buying into and you don't even realize. So it's important to understand that and know how to clear it. Then you have an internal relationship with money that you need to understand, and understand how to clear that if you want to be actually making more money. Also, we're going to talk about specifically how the law of attraction works with money, and some of the very little known secrets to using the law of attraction with money. One of the things I talked about that I went through in my coaching was the necessity of surrender. And that's an extremely deep topic, and we spent about an hour. In Module 4, we spent about a full hour just covering that topic of surrender, because I can promise you it is one of the absolute most important keys to using the law of attraction. Then we cover, again, this is just money, the number one secret to making millions. You go interview millionaires over and over and over and over and over again, you're going to see this one thing. So we cover that on Module 5. And then Module 6 is the practical application, which is basically how to start making money right now, the mechanics of how to go and apply this stuff and get some income coming in. This I normally sell for $200. It's a bonus to go in with this Law of Attraction Masters course, because, I'm talking about being a master. I want you to master the Law of Attraction in all the areas of your life. So that's a free bonus. So here's what you get altogether. It's a 6-month coaching program. You get the weekly pod calls, 28-part audio recording of the weekly calls, the Conquer Your Thoughts, Conquer Your Life CD set, and the Money Mindset Mastery program. All of those things for $497, which is ridiculous, you guys. Like, absolutely ridiculous. When I was showing my wife these slides, this is a true story. I was showing her these slides. I showed her this whole thing, and she said, "Are you kidding me? You're going to do all that for people for $500? Like, that seems ridiculous. Why would you do that?" And there's a couple reasons. Number one, I really want this to work for you. And I also have a vision of a group of extremely powerful creators, because by yourself there's only so much you can create. When you mastermind with other people who understand, who are actually powerful creators, who've cleared out all their junk, and who know how to create powerfully, you become unstoppable. And so that's part of my motivation for giving this whole program, a 6-month coaching program, for only $500. It's because I want that group. I want to build that group and then go and see what we can create in the world with that group. There's a couple other bonuses as well, because as incredible as that is, that literally the most incredible value of anything that I have ever offered. And I also want to add additional bonuses just so that it is such an incredible value that you literally just cannot say no. Like, you'd have to just be so ridiculous to say no. I just want to make it to, you're probably right now being like, okay, this is awesome, I want in, let's get going. But I want to make it so compelling of an offer that you literally, you're sitting there, your hands start sweating, and you can't wait to pull out your credit card and just say, okay, tell me where to buy. I want to buy right now because I want to do this. Because I know that sometimes we hesitate to take action. As human beings, we have natural hesitations. I want to give you every motivation that I possibly can to motivate you to just take action right now. Just make a decision to just pull out your credit card to say, okay, I'm in. I don't care what it takes, whether I have to borrow the money or whatever. Maybe this is going to be your Christmas present from your spouse or to your spouse, or from, maybe it's from somebody else. But I want this to be something that you make a decision on right now and you take action. I want to make this such an unbelievable offer that you literally cannot pass it up. So there's a couple awesome bonuses, fast action bonuses. First of all, I'm going to create a 24/7 mastermind. This is going to be a live online mastermind with others in the group. It works basically like a chat function. There's a certain program that I know how to use that will set it up. That will set you up as this with this mastermind, and I'll moderate the mastermind. And basically, what this allows you to do is get help and support right when you need it from people who know what you're going through and who have the answers to your questions, because they're going through the exact same thing. And then I'll be there as well when you have questions to be there and hop on and answer your questions. So that alone, a $500 value easily, because that's 6 months worth of this 24/7 mastermind. Also, this is a super huge bonus. I'm going to do 2 half-day live online masterminds, which means that we're going to actually all get online together, all of us there live, and we're going to do a half-day mastermind that I'm going to moderate. I'm going to teach you some awesome stuff in there, but the coolest thing is that we're going to be able to mastermind and work with other people. We'll be able to mastermind, brainstorm, and create with other powerful creators and create what's called synergy of attraction. It's one thing when one person is wanting to do one thing, but when 2 people want to do the same thing, they're exponentially more powerful. And we've got a whole group who's going through the same thing. It creates this synergy of attraction. And this doesn't come right at the beginning. This comes 3 months in and then 6 months in, so that this comes at a time when you're fully prepared for it and you are truly a law of attraction master, and everyone in the group is. That is a $1,000 value easily. I personally have paid lots of money and have friends who've paid tens of thousands of dollars just to go to masterminds. Masterminds with other powerful creators is super powerful and extremely valuable. Next bonus, the early adopter bonus. This is for obviously only for people who right at the beginning who take action. Each person that you refer to the Law of Attraction Masters course, you get $100 off of your price. And so the great thing about this is as you go through this, again, you're naturally going to want to bring people with you. You're going to want to take your friends along this. You don't want to get to a place where 6 months from now you're this master, because it's going to require you to change your thinking, change your mind, change everything. You're going to want to bring your friends along with you. The great thing about this is you just bring 2 people along, and that means that the whole course for you is only $300. $300 for 6 months of coaching. I mean, this is ridiculous. What you'll be able to do is email your list. Call your friends. I mean, honestly, pick up the phone, call your friends, talk to them, say, hey, there's this incredible webinar. I learned about how to do this, this, and this. I mean, it's not just, you've seen, this isn't just like the whole hour and a half of me telling about this program. There's some solid content, and that's important. When you're trying to tell somebody else to get on a webinar, you have to tell them what value they're going to get just by attending the webinar. But you'll be able to do that because you got a ton of value out of tonight. Also, you'll be able to invite your friends on Facebook, and I'll show you how to invite all your friends to an event and how to actually kind of get their attention. And then finally, there's this Empower Network bonus. And what this is if you spend $500 at Empower Network, you get the whole program for free. Guys, this is insane. I mean, this is crazy. You go spend $500 somewhere else. You buy a $500 product that in and of itself is worth $500, and you will get this whole program totally for free. And here's the reason why, is because most people want to apply the law of attraction to make money, but you still need the proper mechanics to do that. So I'll give you an example. Imagine that you say, okay, I want to master the law of attraction. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up every day. I'm going to go sit on my couch, and I'm going to eat McDonald's all day long. I mean, like not even the salads, but like the Big Macs and the fries and the soda, every single meal all day long, while I'm sitting on the couch visualizing myself being skinny. I mean, come on. Anyone's intelligent enough to know that that's not going to work. The law of attraction is extremely powerful, and you still have to use some common sense and use some basic, do the proper mechanics. Now, as crazy as that sounds, and you say no one would do that with weight loss, a lot of people do that with business. It's essentially that same thing. They want to sit down and do nothing at all and just watch the money come pouring in, or do the dumbest things you could possibly imagine to try to make money and just imagine and just think that the money's going to pour in. So you need the proper mechanics. That's what Empower Network is all about, is they teach you the mechanics. The best content I've ever found about like real mechanics of how to go and actually make money. Now I want to tell you why. So again, the reason why I'm doing this bonus as part where you can go and buy their product for $500 is because number one, it will help you with the right mechanics. I want this whole program to actually work for you. Also, they pay out 100% commissions, which is the only company I've ever seen anywhere, which means basically this. I'm an affiliate for Empower Network. I sell you an Empower Network product for $500. You pay $500 for that product, and Empower Network pays me the $500 directly. That's what I mean by 100% commissions. So I make the same either way, but you get double programs. So that's pretty awesome. If you have any interest at all in learning how to make money, you might as well do it that way, because you'll get both programs for the same price. And then here's the cool part about that, is if you refer just one person who also chooses this route, then you're the one who sells them that product, and you're the one who gets paid the $500. That's incredible. Now, with this affiliate program, About one every 5 of those you sell, you pass up to the person who sponsored you. It's not like this, multi-level, 100 levels. You get, 2% on every level. You get 100% of every one, or every 5th one that you sell, you pass that up to the person who directly taught you about it and sold you your first product. And the reason why they do that is just to kind of so that if you have questions about how to do the money-making mechanic stuff, I have an incentive to teach you how to do it. So that easily is $1,000 plus value, because you could go refer one person, and that means you get both programs for free, and they're easily both worth they sell for each over $100, and you can get both for free just by referring one person. That's awesome, guys. That is incredible. So here's the whole Law of Attraction Masters course. It is a 6-month coaching program. You get weekly pod calls, a 28-part audio recording, the recordings of each weekly call, the Conquer Your Thoughts, Conquer Your Life 5 CD set, the Money Mindset Mastery 6-module program, the 24/7 online mastermind, the 2 half-day masterminds, the early adopters bonus, the Empower Network bonus. Guys, all of that together, just added up, is $8,000, an $8,000 value. What is this program really worth to you? I want you to just think about some of the results that I've gotten, that I've shared with you directly on this call. Literally attracting over $100,000 directly into my bank account. And all those things, those are all just the beginnings. Imagine the rest of your life, what your life would be what your life would be like if you right now make a decision, if you right now take action, you buy this program, and you join me in this 6-month journey. And imagine that you spend the next 6 months of your life mastering the law of attraction, and get the kind of results that took me several years to get. You get those within the next 6 months. I want you to imagine what the rest of your life would be like. What would your life really be like if you really were the creator of your life? If you could create anything in your life that you wanted, what would it really, really look like the rest of your life? And now contrast that with if you don't take action and you just say, maybe next time, or maybe later, or something like that. And you just don't take action, and then you never do this. And you spend the rest of your life, everybody else controlling you. Because that's the way most people live. Their boss owns them. They're being controlled by their boss, by their spouse, by their, everything around them. We don't even have a clue. Most people don't even have a clue what it means to be a creator. And when you're not a creator, you're a victim. And right now you can choose to play the victim the rest of your life, or right now you can step up and you say, I'm going to be a creator. And your first step on being a creator is to make this decision right now. So even though this is an $8,000 value, just by adding up the value of each one of those, what's it really worth to you? How many millions of dollars would it be worth to you over the course of your life if you right now became a master at the law of attraction? Guys, I've put everything into this program that I possibly could to make sure that this program is a success for you. To give you every bit of support that I possibly can so that you actually make it. And I've lowered down the price to as low as I possibly can. $497. for this whole thing. This is ridiculous. I've never seen a 6-month coaching program with this much stuff for that low. I've seen 6-month coaching programs with a whole lot less for more than 10 times that. For close to 100 times that. At least 50 times that. No joke. I've seen programs 50 times more than that. And you get this whole thing for $500. So here's what you do. Right now, you make a decision to purchase right now. Now, because there's multiple options, rather than just having a button and you just click, because I know you're dying to, I know you're just like, where's the button? Let me click right now. Instead of just having a button to let you click right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have you send me an email. And the reason why is because there's multiple options. You could do the just pay me directly. You can do the Empower Network option, or where you buy just that program and then you get this one as a bonus. Or there's even a payment plan for if you absolutely cannot do the $500 right now, $100 a month for 6 months. So you save money doing the full pay. But that payment plan is an option. So because there's multiple payment options, and also because we have that early adopter program, which is the ability to just refer it to somebody else and you get paid for that, I want to make sure and double and triple check that we have that tracked correctly. So every single person who signs up for this, I want to make sure that I ask them personally who it was that referred them or invited them on Facebook or told them about it or whatever. So here's what you do. You send an email to me right now, right this minute. You pull out your email, you click the button, you send it to me. In the subject line, Law of Attraction Master's Course. In the email body, you write your name, your best email, your phone number, and the best time of day to call. Guys, I want to tell you one quick final story, and then we'll end. I mean, if you haven't gone and clicked, do this right now. Click the email, send the email this minute. And I want to tell you one last story, which is the moment that I decided to totally take on my life and change everything. I was at the time making $700 a month. Remember I mentioned that coaching that I went through that was key. I was making $700 a month, and I was really upset. I couldn't even afford just my mortgage payment, much less all the other bills and food for my family. Couldn't afford my mortgage payment. And somebody told me this concept. They said, guess what? You are a creator. And if you learn right now to be that creator and to step up and take control of your life, you will live a life greater than you ever imagined possible. And if you don't, you'll continue playing the victim the rest of your life. This is a true story, exactly what this person told me. You'll continue playing the victim the rest of your life, and you will continue to be miserable. So you've got two choices. Keep getting the same thing you're getting right now and blaming everybody else. Or live the greatest life you could ever possibly imagine. What do you want? And the program that I chose was only a 3-month program, and it cost $5,000. I was making $700 a month. $500 would have been a ton to me at the time. $5,000 was a ridiculous amount at the time. But within 6 months of making that decision, I had over $100,000 in my bank account. Within a year of making that decision, I owned $800,000 worth of stock in my company. I had my dream job. I was making a great solid income, and I owned 2 houses. All because I made a decision. Now I look back and I look at the fact that I was so ready and so prepared for that decision, for that process that I went through. Everything in my life leading up to that was perfectly preparing me for that process that I went through. And all that preparation, I look at all that went into that, and I look at all the literally hundreds of things that led up to me meeting that person who sat down and told me what I needed to hear so that I could take that action. I could go and list any one of 100 things that if it didn't happen, then I never would have been in that place at that time and never would have made that decision. And I believe that there's a higher power at work organizing those kinds of things. And I also believe that that higher power respects us and gives us a certain amount of freedom. And we have the opportunity to make a choice and to make a decision. Everything that leads up to us being in the exact right place at the right time to make the decision that will literally change the course of our lives can all go to waste if we don't step up and make the decision. And sometimes it's a little bit scary, and sometimes you don't know for sure. But there's something inside you, some little thing inside you, that's just saying go for it. That's just saying make a decision. That's just saying take action. And you know what that feels like. And what I want you to do right now is I want you to listen to that. I want you to stop making excuses in your life. Stop playing the victim in your life. I want you to step up and be who you were created to be. Join me in this Law of Attraction Master's Course. I will give you everything I possibly can to help you succeed. So what you do is you pull out your email right now. Pull up your email. Click new email. Send an email to my email address, tony@tonypurcell.com. Write that in the subject line, fill out the email body, and just click send. I will call you and talk with you personally to work out the details of how we're going to do the payment and where we're going to go from there. So do that right now. Fill out the email. Just if there's a couple questions that you still have, that's okay. I won't just call and say, hey, give me your credit card number and we'll take it down. No, I'll talk to you, answer what kind of questions you have. If there are any other specific questions, and then we'll get you going and we'll get started. So fill out the email right now. Decide, make a decision, be the creator in your life. Join me in this program, and I look forward to talking with you.